Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode. So this week I'm going to give you some tips to using natural light for newborn photography. So tip number one is it's important to understand the light that you get in the space that you actually photograph in. So if you have a small studio or a big studio, light changes with natural light. So it's a good idea to understand when is the best time to shoot, how the sun, turns around in the area that you live in. So from, what time of day is best to shoot in, when do you lose light, what time of day do you lose light. For instance, in my studio, the best time to shoot is obviously from the morning. So from 9 o'clock, usually around 10:30, the light is pretty good and I don't always have to adjust my settings on my camera. So understanding the space, the light, and when is the best time to shoot is really important. Tip number two is to understand your manual mode. That way, if ever the lighting is changing in your studio because it's natural light, so you might get the sun's out, but then all of a sudden it's overcast, you understand how to use your manual mode to put up your ISO or to change your shutter speed and things like that. So working with auto mode doesn't really help in this case. You just got to work with what you have. But manual mode, this is why it's so essential to understand of how to use it to actually change, to be able to change your settings around depending on the current light that you have. Number three is filtering natural light. Now I know with natural light, it can be harsh one day or just overcast the other day. You don't need to worry about filtering it. But during summer days, especially in my studio, I have a double garage, so about 6 meters wide. That can be really harsh light if it's a really hot day. So I use a lot of sheer curtains to filter my light. I also can pull out my reflector and put it, in front of that particular window that I'm shooting in front of to just soften the light. So that's pretty much what a filter does. It will actually soften the light. And if you don't have a filter like I didn't have when I started, I just got a lot of sheer curtains and I use them to gather in, and that gives you nice light. Now sometimes you can get the shadows of the light. That's when the sun is not in the right space for you to actually shoot. So when this happens during the studio, I just pull myself inside my studio rather than being really next to the window. So understanding how to filter the light and how to work with the light is really, really important. So that's it for this week's episode. If you have any questions, because I know lighting can be a big subject to talk about, but I wanted to give you the main tips because I know when starting off it just can get overwhelming. But if you have any questions, please do leave them below for me to answer them for you. And if you haven't already, head on over to thephotographersociety.com and download my free newborn session guide. I go through from A to Z on how to, prepare and work through your newborn session so you get through it easier and quicker. And before you go, make sure you're following me over on Instagram, where I'm usually always online over there. So I'll catch you next week for another video. Until then, take care.